it. Half of the fan base hates it. Everyone who is a fan of a football team that does not have an elite quarterback really wishes he hit free agency. So, we're gonna just move on. Also, March 8th, Seahawks release defensive end Carlos Dunlap, creating $14 million in cap space. They need an offensive line or they're going to lose the greatest quarterback in the history of that city.
Yeah.
The greatest player to ever play for the Seahawks.
They should be exploring trading Pete Carroll, not Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Seriously, that would be in their best interest.
It sure would. All right, we're going to move on to March 9th. Raiders trade offensive tackle Trent Brown to the Patriots for a 5th-round pick, and they're getting a 7th-round pick. Oh, I'm sorry. Patriots are sending a 2022 5th-round pick to the Raiders for Brown and a 7th-round pick. How is he being traded for such little value? Like, he's so good.
Comes into play, but it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. I don't know how they keep getting away with it.
Didn't the Raiders get him for like a 4th and a 6th?
Yeah, the Raiders need a swift kick to the groin area for making this trade, especially to the Patriots.
Yeah,
I mean, it's certainly a questionable call, but it seems like it falls in line with typical Patriots fashion of how shit fucking goes with them.
He's instantly going to make an impact. Like, a huge impact. And they're just like, they're just giving him to the Patriots. Like, for like Ed Monix type deal. Well, we need a washing machine, so we'll give you Monix. You send us the washing machine. Like, what the hell? How are you going to say that a guy like Deshaun Watson is worth like 6 first-round picks, but Trent Williams is worth a 5th? 1/5.
Yeah.
Wait, no, not Tropic Thunder. Oh my God.
Semi-pro.
I know they're the tropics.
Semi-pro.
Semi-pro reference, yes.
Yep.
I'm not expecting that. All right, there we go. I love it.
But that just crazy. So we're gonna move on because it's really fucking annoying. Something that we all saw coming. Panthers used franchise tag on Taylor Moton. Like, they had to. Absolutely had to.
I wish that they hadn't. He was due to make a boatload, but actually this might work in his favor due to the down cap year. He's gonna make a boatload next season, or whenever he's a free agent, and I don't think they're gonna be able to work a long-term deal out with him unless they're really willing to cough up the bag and accept that it's going to be a bigger chunk of this season's cap than normal. Because if I'm him, I'm waiting for next season's increased cap and then projections to guarantee me a long-term big deal.
Yeah. So
it's going to be a lot of money, that's for sure.
I mean, he's set to make between $13.5 and $14 million for this season on the tag. So definitely wise by the Panthers. And if this Deshaun Watson trade that was proposed, and we'll go through that in a couple minutes, then they're going to be clearing up a lot of cap space to maybe even be able to sign him for a long-term deal. So we'll see. But Buccaneers use franchise tag on wide receiver Chris Godwin. Again, makes so much sense. Steelers don't use franchise tag on Bud Dupree. We already said that. Jaguars do use franchise tag on Cam Robinson. So already making good decisions for Trevor Lawrence. Urban Meyer confirmed it yesterday that they feel very strongly about him and his development, and they realize that he has a great future. The ceiling is very high, and they want him to stay in Jacksonville.
That's a smart move.
All right. Former Bears offensive lineman Kyle Long to unretire.
Yep. Now he's coming back.
Yep. Bears do franchise tag Allen Robinson. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Saints.
To keep him.
But another one I wouldn't be super surprised if ended up being like a trade package. I don't know where he stands because for a long part of the season it seemed like he was done with Chicago, but more recently he's been a little less committed to leaving. I think his best bet, and I think what he'll do, is if he's going to sign a long-term contract with them, he's going to wait until he knows who his quarterback is going to be, because he's being held back his whole season by quarterback play. I think he wants to go to a team that has a good quarterback. If the Bears can get one, he'll play with that person, and if he believes in them, he'll sign a long-term deal. If not, the more likely scenario, then I think he's walking next season, unless they, obviously if they double tag him.
Right. Vikings release kicker Dan Bailey.
Yeah.
Falcons release guard James Carpenter.
Okay.
Now, New York Giants do use the franchise tag on Leonard Williams and continue to work on a long-term deal.
I mean, Leonard Williams was a huge part into what really made that defense solid. I feel like it was a no-brainer that it had to happen. Plus, I just feel like time ran out for negotiations, and rather than potentially lose him, we'll buy us some more time, and if we have to, pay him the money that we have to. It just made sense to keep him because of how much he really does mean to that defense as a unit.
Yep. Yeah, I would make him the anchor of my defense. Pay him what he wants, build the defense around him. And as we're talking about this, I'm sure Dan O'Shea is over there like, why couldn't we just keep him?
No, it's fine. We weren't meant to be with him, and he's better. He's better off given the past 2 years of nonsense. Maybe now, but I also don't think necessarily he'd fit what I'm expecting from Salah's defense. He fits perfectly on the Giants team. So.
Yep, he does. Browns release defensive end Adrian Claiborne. Buccaneers re-sign linebacker Levante David on a 2-year, $25 million deal. Obviously, that was smart. That Buccaneers defense really won the Super Bowl for them, despite what the Buccaneers fans are going to tell you about Tom Brady being the greatest quarterback in Buccaneers history. Levante David, very important player to that team, very important part of that defense. They bring him back 2-year, $25 million. It's the right move. All right. Titans release cornerback Malcolm Butler. He won't be intercepting any more goal line passes and winning any sham Super Bowls. Saints, we're moving on to today. Saints release wide receiver Emmanuel Sanders. Interesting. He's obviously past his prime. So him going to a team that needs a number one receiver like the Steelers do, that makes zero sense. But he's available if you need a wide receiver. Another wide receiver that's become available, Bills released wide receiver John Brown, and they've also released defensive lineman Quentin Jefferson. Panthers restructured Christian McCaffrey and Shaq Thompson deals. The Giants released Kevin Zeitler. Official as of today, the Dolphins released Kyle Van Noy. Kenny Vaccaro also does not make the list for players that are going to be on the Titans next year. And finally,
I know it goes back to the Patriots for a discount.
Yep. And finally, Vikings release left tackle Riley Reif, freeing up $11.75 million. And obviously, this list is going to keep growing. But those are the last 1 week worth of free agency. Any big surprises from that? Because honestly, I'm not surprised by much of it, except that they're just letting Aaron Jones take his talents to South Beach. Am I giving away too much of what I think is going to happen? Yeah, he's going to Miami. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a ton that surprised me so far. I still think that we're going to see more surprises as we get close to the draft. I mean, Houston doesn't want to do anything with Watson, but they're going to be forced into a corner at some point, and I think that's why they're holding off as much as they can, but I don't see that situation getting any better. Seattle's not doing anything to make Russell Wilson feel better about his situation, about being there. So those are the two most interesting things. I mean, I will be interested to see where some people land as far as the free agency is concerned, but I can't say I'm surprised by many of the cuts that were made. Aaron Jones is kind of shocking, but...
Yeah, I agree. I'm also not ruling out the idea that this is probably because they're just going to sign him to a new contract and didn't want to waste a tag on him. But yeah, it's very straightforward. The only one that really surprised me is Shaq Barrett. But again, like you said, spoil of riches for the Buccaneers, and they can afford to lose someone. And apparently they think Lavonte David over Shaq Barrett is better. I disagree. I would take Shaq Barrett in a heartbeat over Lavonte David, but I'm not the one getting paid money to make these decisions.
No.
Yeah,
obviously not.
I will say I'm a little surprised by Kenny Golladay being released. I would have thought that they'd at least tag him and trade him. But they obviously knew that he wasn't going to play for them anymore, so they kind of just cut their losses, which I guess you can respect.
Yeah. So I just want to talk about two players and potential trades. We got about 10 minutes, so let's just talk about these real quick, and then we'll wrap it all up, all right? First one, Deshaun Watson has so many different options available if he will let them, because he has final say over where he's going to end up going. But Peter King floated out the idea of the Carolina Panthers, and this was his proposal. The Panthers receive quarterback Deshaun Watson. Houston receives running back Christian McCaffrey, quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, wide receiver Robbie Anderson, first and second round picks in 2021, first pick in 2022, and third round pick in 2023.
Absolutely fucking not.
That's not it, though. That's not it, though.
I don't care that there's more. You got like 3 names through and I was already done with it. I didn't care about the picks that you were giving up. I'm not selling you the house so that I can have the car. That's not happening. Okay, now I'm going to be living out of my really fast car, but I have no home.
It's even worse. I'm going through it like Christian McCaffrey, okay, he's crazy good. Could they get by without him? I don't know. Teddy Bridgewater, they don't need him if they're getting Deshaun Watson. Robbie Anderson, I think he's too valuable to the Panthers. But then the very last thing, they throw in Brian Burns. That's where I'm absolutely done. You're not going to get my 22-year-old stud that's going to be the anchor of this defense for the next 10 to 12 years. Not happening.
Also, listen, McCaffrey was responsible, not last year, but the year before, for 53% of the offense. 53%. So you're going to take my largest weapon. If that was Deshaun Watson, I'd laugh at that, blow my nose with it, drop it on the table, and walk out.
Yeah, it's laughable. I mean, it's not much better for other teams.
You know what? No, he should open the email and then fucking mark it again as unread.
Peter King also...
I didn't even read this shit.
Peter King also gave his idea for what the Jets should do, and that is quarterback Sam Darnold, defensive lineman Quinnen Williams,